A very good evening and welcome to the news tonight. I'm Tracy Shilshi, and in the next 30 minutes I'll be getting you all the day's top stories, starting with the headlines. A day after Pakistan lets down India on the Pathankot attack probe, Home Minister Rajnath Singh meets NSA Ajit Doval to discuss the security situation. Protests by outstation students continue for the fourth day at Srinagar NITIE. Government assures full security for them. A killer heat wave sweeps Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Over 100 people have died due to heat and sunstroke. Shani Shingnapur temple authorities allow women to pray in the sanctum sanctorum for the first time after a landmark court judgment. Women's groups call it a significant victory. And another political fallout of the Panama Papers leak. British Prime Minister David Cameron confesses he profited from funds in an offshore company. Top story. Home Minister Rajnath Singh today held a meeting with top officials to discuss the fallout of Pakistan's refusal to allow an NIA team to visit that country to further probe the Pathankot attack. India had countered Pakistani High Commissioner Abdul Basit's claim yesterday that there was no deal on reciprocity. Here's a report.
Home Minister Rajnath Singh called a meeting of top officials, including NSA Ajit Doval, on Friday to discuss the security situation in the country. The meeting comes on the back of Pakistan denying permission to an NIA team to visit the country in connection with the Pathankot attack probe. Pakistan High Commissioner Abdul Basit had said on Thursday that the visit of a Pakistani joint investigation team to India was not based on reciprocity, but more about extending cooperation.
I think at present it is suspended. So let's see if we are able to commence the dialogue process. This whole investigation is not about the question of reciprocity in my view. It is more about extending cooperation, or our two countries cooperating with each other to get to the bottom of the incident.
Basit's remarks came as a blow to India, as it had expected that Pakistan would allow NIA investigators to visit the country. The MEA countered Basit's statement, saying before the Pak JIT's visit, both sides had agreed that it would be on the basis of reciprocity. Meanwhile, the BJP-led NDA government has come in for a lot of criticism from opposition parties over what they call is a failure of bilateral ties.
It is adding insult to injury that they and not us are the ones who suspend the peace talks after doing nothing on Pathankot. So I think the government has messed it up completely. There cannot be a bigger mess up. Pakistanis are to blame is not in doubt. But what about the government of India unfortunately playing into their hands?
समय है जब पाकिस्तान के रिश्तों को लेकर के भारत सरकार को, प्रधानमंत्री को और विदेश मंत्री को, समूचे विपक्ष को विश्वास में लेकर के नई रणनीति तैयार करनी चाहिए.
Meanwhile, the US has urged India and Pakistan to hold talks to reduce tensions. It believes that both sides will benefit from practical cooperation. The US's response came just hours after Basit announced that the bilateral peace process stands suspended. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
In more national news, the Uttarakhand High Court today deferred to the 18th of April a hearing on the ongoing political crisis in the state. This after 9 disqualified rebel Congress MLAs sought adjournment on the ground that their counsel was not available. This attracted strong remarks from the High Court bench that included Chief Justice K.M. Joseph and Justice V.K. Bisht. The bench said that it had been made clear to the rebel MLAs yesterday that the hearing would take place. Attorney General Mukul Rohatgi will now open the argument on behalf of the central government on the 18th of April. The court also extended till then the operation of an earlier order, keeping on hold the direction of the single-judge bench that the floor test should be held to decide the majority of the government. On to another one of our continuing focus. A scorching heat wave continues to persist over central and southern India, with over 100 people reported killed in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh alone. temperatures have risen to over 40 degrees in many parts of the region, including in Odisha and Madhya Pradesh, which has been experiencing drought for the third consecutive year.
Blistering heat, temperatures touching 40 degrees and above. The weather is taking a toll in central and southern India. Andhra Pradesh and Telangana have already reported over sunstroke-related 100 deaths. Kadapa and Prakasam districts of Andhra Pradesh and Medak and Warangal districts in Telangana are the worst affected.
It is very hot today. Vijayawada is on blaze. We are unable to take our children to the school even. People are feared to come out from the homes, and more of the people are dehydrated and going to die.
The Met Department is predicting no respite. The government is taking precautionary measures, advising public and construction workers to stay indoors between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m. Oral rehydration salts and intravenous fluids are being provided at public places in Andhra Pradesh. In Madhya Pradesh, the schools have been told to shut down by 1 p.m. In Odisha, heatwave alert has been sounded in coastal areas. Meanwhile, West Bengal and Jharkhand have also seen a rise of 2 to 3 degrees in last 48 hours. Weather officials attribute the early onset of heat to the after effects of the El Nino weather phenomenon that caused poor monsoon last year. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Meanwhile, the situation remains grim for the fourth day in a row in Jammu and Kashmir. Fresh protests rocked the NITIE campus in Srinagar as outstation students took out a march to press for their demands. Meanwhile, the state government has also assured security to the students of the institute. A time-bound probe has also been ordered into the violence.
It was the fourth day of protests by outstation students at Srinagar NITIE. They were stopped by security forces from venturing out of the gates. Anxious parents claimed on Friday that they couldn't contact their wards. The students are demanding that their institute be shifted from Kashmir and action taken against policemen who lathi charged them.
ये सरासर गलत है। ये हमारे बच्चों पर अत्याचार कर रहे हैं। ये किसी तरीके से उनको फंसाना चाहते हैं। ये ना हमारी गवर्नमेंट कुछ कर रही है, ना कोई सेंटर से कोई आया। तो हमारे बच्चे 10 दिन से वहाँ कैद पड़े हुए हैं, ना उनको उनकी कोई खाने पीने का भी अच्छा प्रबंध नहीं हो रहा।
बात तो हो रही है, पर वो भी इतने डरे हुए हैं, हम भी इतने डरे हुए हैं। ये हमें ये डर लगता है हमारे बच्चों से कहीं कुछ और ना हो जाए जो हम बर्दाश्त न कर पाए। इसलिए हम चाहते हैं हमारे बच्चों को सही सुरक्षा जो भी ठीक ठाक सब कुछ करें।
So the first of all is that the students should be evacuated as early as possible. So they should be sent to their homes. So the second one is, and these are non-negotiable demands. The second one is that the NIT campus to be shifted to any other part of India.
On Friday, Home Minister Rajnath Singh discussed the situation with NSA Ajit Doval. The state government insists that full security will be provided to outstation students.
All their concern with regard to their academic career shall be addressed. So far as the security is concerned, that's our concern. That's my concern. I'm saying it personal, that I'm taking personal interest.
No, as far as NIT is concerned, we have been given to understand by the state government that it would take to task all those who've been responsible for having caused violence against students, which we believe was unwarranted. An inquiry, I believe, has been instituted, and they would submit the report and fix the responsibility.
The opposition, however, has been unrelenting in its criticism of the manner in which the government has handled the situation.
ऐसे में भारतीय जनता पार्टी का जो दोहरापन और दोगलापन है वो पूरी तरह से एक्सपोज होता है। मैं ऐसी अपेक्षा करता हूं, हमारी पार्टी ऐसी अपेक्षा करता है कि एनआईटी में जो देशभक्त छात्र हैं उनके हितों की, उनके भावनाओं की रक्षा होनी चाहिए और छात्रों के साथ खिलवाड़ नहीं होना चाहिए। और अगर भारतीय जनता पार्टी उन छात्रों के हितों की रक्षा नहीं कर पा रही है तो कश्मीर में सत्ता में रहने का कोई हक नहीं उनको।
एनआईटी में शांति प्रयास स्थापित करने के प्रयास होने चाहिए। वहां पर भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार है और उसके रहते देश विरोधी नारे लगे और कश्मीर से बाहर के छात्रों के साथ बदसलूकी हुई, बीजेपी को इस पर अफसोस जाहिर करना चाहिए।
Tension has been simmering in the NIT campus since last week when clashes broke out following celebrations over India's loss to the West Indies in the World T20 semi-finals. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
On to Maharashtra now, where the Shani Shingnapur Temple Trust finally yielded to the high-voltage public campaign on Friday. Breaking a centuries-old tradition, it allowed women to enter the sanctum sanctorum. The lifting of the gender barrier came on the auspicious occasion of Gudi Padwa, which is the new year for people across the state.
After days of maintaining an inflexible stand, the Shani Shingnapur Temple Trust finally relaxed its position on Friday, allowing women also to enter the sanctum sanctorum of the temple.
ये बहुत ही खुशी की बात है और ये आने वाले समय के लिए बहुत ही अच्छी बात है और एक तृप्ति देसाई यानी हम सब महिलाओं की ये जीत है, न्यायालय की जीत है। जो कोर्ट ने जो आदेश दिए थे उसको माना गया है और महिला पुरुष सब समान हैं, बराबर से पूजा का जो अधिकार दिया गया है उसके लिए मैं धन्यवाद देती हूँ न्यायालय को।
The 400-year tradition was broken on Gudi Padwa, the day that marks New Year, by people across Maharashtra. It came after temple authorities had to call in the police when around 250 men from the Shingnapur village forcibly entered the sanctum sanctorum despite the temple trust imposing a ban.
I think today is a historic day for all women because this was never a fight about a political ideology or a particular segment and section of society. This was for women at power, and the philosophy has always been gender equality and no discrimination.
The move is a victory for the social group, the Bhumata Brigade, whose leader Trupti Desai had mounted a campaign to break the tradition. Desai and her group of activists said they will soon leave for the temple to offer prayers.
The Constitution clearly says women have the equal right to offer prayers anywhere under the sky, and I think the women activists should not be stopped. And since men are praying over there, it is the duty of the state government to ensure that these women are allowed to enter the sanctum sanctorum and offer their prayers.
On April 1st, the Bombay High Court held that the government was duty-bound to protect the fundamental right of women to go into places of worship. But when the temple authorities didn't yield, the agitation for women's entry picked up momentum. It ended in the men also being barred from entering the sanctum sanctorum. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And now let's take you through what else made news across the country today in Nationwide. In a major setback to former Minister K.M. Mani, the Kerala High Court rejected his request to cancel the corruption case against him. The court refused to suspend the vigilance proceedings in the bar bribery case and said that steps or procedures taken by the vigilance court cannot be stayed. The Himachal Pradesh Legislative Assembly approved almost 100% hike in the salaries and perks of its lawmakers, chief minister, minister, speaker and the deputy speaker and parliamentary secretaries. Himachal Pradesh Chief Minister Veerbhadra Singh said that the hike was required as it was part of essential expenditure, adding that the increase in perks would help them to deal with increasing inflation. In a major party reshuffle, the BJP today appointed new presidents for 5 state units. Hoshiarpur MP and Dalit leader Vijay Sampla was named the state party president for Punjab, B.S. Yediyurappa in Karnataka, Keshav Prasad Maurya for Uttar Pradesh, Dr. K. Lakshman for Telangana and Tapirgaon for Arunachal Pradesh. All 5 presidents have been appointed by the BJP president, Amit Shah. And now let's get you all our election-related news in our special segment, Verdict 2016. Now, ahead of the second and the final phase of polling in Assam, Prime Minister Modi arrived in the state on Friday to campaign for the BJP. Polling for 61 constituencies in the state will take place on Monday. The Prime Minister arrived at Raha after visiting the Kamakhya temple in Guwahati. While addressing a rally in Nagaon district, Modi said that the Assam Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi had stopped smiling after the heavy polling in the first phase of elections. Taking a dig also at Congress President Sonia Gandhi, Modi said that the Congress leaders were more concerned about their own sons and daughters. Let's listen in to more of what he had to say.
मैं जानता हूं आपने ऐसी सरकारों को देखा है, ऐसी सरकारों को झेला है कि अब आपका गुवाहाटी में बैठने वाली सरकार पर से भरोसा उठ गया। इनको आपके दुखों की चिंता नहीं है, इनको आपके बच्चों के भविष्य की चिंता नहीं है, उनको आने वाले कल आसाम क्या हो उसकी परवाह नहीं है। वो तो इस बात में लगे हैं कि अब अपने बेटे को कैसे सेटल करें।
Meanwhile, Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi accused Prime Minister Modi of making big promises on bringing back black money to the country. He also said that the Modi government has not taken any action against black money hoarders, including leaders in his own government. Rahul Gandhi was addressing a Congress rally in Assam's Kalampur ahead of the second phase of polls, which are to be held on the 11th of April.
अब यहाँ पे चुनाव में आए हैं, उन्होंने आपको वायदा किया कि मैं काला धन वापस लाऊंगा, तो एक शब्द तो कहना चाहिए, उन्होंने एक ये तो समझाना चाहिए कि मेरा जो छत्तीसगढ़ का चीफ मिनिस्टर है उसके बेटे का वहां पे अकाउंट है, उसके बारे में कार्रवाई क्यों नहीं कर रहा हूं वो तो कहना चाहिए। ये भी कहना चाहिए कि 15 लाख रुपए क्यों नहीं ला पाए।
Meanwhile, West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee filed her nomination from Bhawanipur constituency in South Kolkata district for the state assembly elections. A large number of supporters chanted slogans as Mamata Banerjee, flanked by several party leaders, undertook a road show on her way to the office of the district election officer in Kolkata. Accompanied by Party General Secretary Subrata Bakshi, Banerjee filed her nomination papers for the six-phase West Bengal Assembly polls. She is pitted against a Left Front-supported Congress nominee and former Union Minister Deepa Dash Munshi and Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose's grandnephew Chandra Kumar Bose of the BJP. Bhawanipur constituency also has in the fray Lok Janshakti Party's Bobby Haldera, one of the two transgenders from the state, to contest the polls for the first time. With that, we'll take a quick break here, but still ahead, migrant deportations resume under deal between the European Union and Turkey. We'll get you details of that in a bit.
Another low for the India-Pak peace process. Suspended, says Pakistan's High Commissioner in India. What led to this setback? And why? Watch the big picture at 9:30 p.m. on Rajya Sabha television.
My father was a Tamil teacher, and in fact he was responsible for my building up. The orderliness in the lifestyle was brought by my father. In India, my feeling is that primary education has to be strengthened heavily. Vices are established by the Act of Parliament to have a high quality science education.
Watch Eureka with Professor V. Ramakrishnan, Director, Indian Institute of Science, Education and Research, Thiruvananthapuram, on Rajya Sabha television. Tales that inspire. Stories of social change. A salute to diversity. Promoting public discourse. Events that motivate. Inspiring the innovative spirit. Watch Rajya Sabha television documentaries on Rajya Sabha television.
Welcome back. Let's get to international news now. And in fact, a week after the Panama leaks, British Prime Minister David Cameron has confessed that he had profited from funds in an offshore company there. In an interview, Cameron admitted that he and his wife had 5,000 shares of Blairmore Investment Trust, which they sold for nearly $42,200 in January 2010. Meanwhile, the European Union has threatened sanctions on tax havens like Panama. Here's a report.
And I did. Samantha and I had a joint account and we owned 5,000 units in Blairmore Investment Trust, which we sold in January 2010. That was worth something like £30,000.
After 3 days of partial statements, British Prime Minister David Cameron confessing that he had profited from his father's Panama offshore trust. Cameron and his wife Samantha had owned 5,000 shares in the Panamanian trust Blairmore, but sold them in 2010 before becoming Prime Minister.
Cameron's late father Ian was among those named in the leaked documents from Panama law firm Mossack Fonseca.
I paid income tax on the dividends, but there was a profit on it, but it was less than the capital gains tax allowance, so I didn't pay capital gains tax, but it was subject to all the UK taxes in all the normal ways.
Argentinian President Mauricio Macri asserted that he will prove his innocence in the court. An investigation was launched against Macri on Thursday after it transpired he was listed as director of an offshore company in Bahamas.
Hay una gente preocupada por estas denuncias de los Panama Papers que ha salido y que me ha involucrado a mí. Y yo quiero decirles hoy una vez más.
Meanwhile, Thailand is investigating 16 people whose names appeared in the Panama Papers. The list includes current and former politicians and top business people. China sought clarification on the Panama leak as Foreign Minister Wang Yi met his German counterpart Frank-Walter Steinmeier in Beijing. Earlier, China had denounced all accusations as groundless.
斗争正在继续的进行当中，正像我们的领导人所说的，反腐永远在路上。所以你提到的一个所谓的文件，我们看到巴拿马方面也在做出一些
Following shocking revelations of tax fraud, the EU has threatened to sanction countries like Panama if they refuse to cooperate fully in the fight against money laundering and tax evasion. Bureau Report, Rajya TV.
Migrant deportations resumed today under the deal between the European Union and Turkey. Amid protests, boats carrying 45 Pakistani migrants were returned to Turkey from the Greek island of Lesbos. Even before the first boat left the island, 4 activists jumped into the sea in protest. They were later detained by the Coast Guard. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said that the refugee crisis had eased comparatively following the ceasefire in Syria. However, Italy is concerned that the new migrant deal could prompt more refugee arrivals there. Under the recent agreed EU deal with Turkey, migrants who have arrived illegally in Greece since the 20th of March will be sent back to Turkey if they do not apply for asylum or if their claim is rejected.
Und die Tatsache, dass wir jetzt seit einigen Wochen doch einen zwar fragilen, aber immerhin Waffenstillstand in Syrien haben, hat schon auch im Augenblick zu einer gewissen Beruhigung der Lage geführt, also zumindest nicht der Angst, Hunderttausende neue Flüchtlinge zu bekommen.
And now let's get you some more international news updates in Global Buzz. China on Friday sentenced an activist to 4.5 years in jail for supporting pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong. Wang Mo was convicted of inciting subversion of the state power by the Guangzhou Intermediate People's Court. He was among 5 people sentenced by Chinese courts for the offence. Kosovo's former premier Hashim Thaçi was sworn in as the president on Thursday. Thaçi's inauguration followed his election by the post by MPs in February in a tense vote marred by opposition tear gas protests in parliament and clashes on the streets of the capital Pristina. His oath-taking session was boycotted by opposition parties as they dispute his election to the top job. The US and South Korean troops on Friday conducted a joint river crossing exercise to enhance their military operations in the tense Korean peninsula. Around 400 US soldiers and 100 South Korean soldiers participated in the exercise. The drill was not part of the annual joint US-Korean drills, which involves nearly 17,000 American troops and more than 3 lakh South Koreans. With that, let's change tracks, get you all the latest from the world of sports in SportsBeat. Ace Indian shuttler Saina Nehwal has sealed a semi-final spot in the women's singles competition of the Malaysia Open tournament. World number 8, Saina recovered from a game deficit to beat Thailand's Pontip Buranaprasatsuk 19-21, 21-14, 21-14. However, PV Sindhu crumbled under pressure to bow out of the women's singles. He lost to Thailand's Ratchanok Intanon in straight games to 7-21, 8-21. West Indies off-spinner Sunil Narayan's action has been cleared by the ICC following remedial work and retest. The ICC confirmed that Narayan's action was found to be legal barely 2 days before the start of the Indian Premier League, where he plays for KKR. Narayan was suspended last November after being cited during a one-day match in Sri Lanka. Top Japanese badminton player Kento Momota today apologized for having gambled at an illegal casino, as he's likely to lose his chances of playing at the Rio Olympics. Momota said that he had gambled 6 times at a casino in Tokyo, which was raided by police in April and May last year. A ban for him would be a severe blow to Japan's Olympic hopes. Reigning champion Jordan Spieth seized a 2-shot lead in the opening round at the Augusta Masters. Spieth made his move early with 3 birdies on the front 9, while Rory McIlroy slipped back late to 2 under. Ireland's Shane Lowry is 4 under, while England's Paul Casey, Ian Poulter and Justin Rose are 3 under. Spanish La Liga champions FC Barcelona occupy the top spot in the Euro Club Index. Real Madrid occupy the 2nd spot on the list, followed by defending German champions Bayern Munich. The Euro Club Index ranks football clubs across Europe on the basis of their relative playing strengths and the development of their playing strengths over time. And that's all we have for you on the news tonight. From the entire team here, good night. Have a good weekend.